Ooh, there's a lot. When it comes to like colors, there's a lot more pink. Are you leaving me? Hello my dear sewing friends, it's Alisa here with Thoughtful Creativity, and on this channel, as you guys know, we talk about creative sewing and thoughtful sewing. And if you've been with me even just for the shortest amount of time, you are probably used to seeing me with a completely different background behind me, which kind of explains today's video really well, or should I say the beginning of the series video. And it's going to be all about remaking this sewing room, reconfiguring the sewing room. The challenge is there's no budget whatsoever. I mean, I might spend a few dollars on the hooks or a few dollars on some hardware just because those are necessary things to organize a sewing room. But other than that, we're just gonna make it work with what do we have. You guys know this is something that I do on a regular basis, you know, just use what you have. And the reason why I'm reconfiguring and reorganizing my room one more time, well, the last time was last year, is because as the channel grew from just an idea to more of a community, my task list keeps growing. My project list on the desk keeps growing. The list of responsibilities, of course, is through the roof. And this sewing space needs to be so much more than just sewing space itself. So it needs to be an office where I can work. It needs to be an actual designated YouTube space, so that way the lights are not all over the place and I can actually have a corner where I can film and connect with you guys. It needs to be, of course, the sewing space where I work on the projects. Did I mention that this is also a laundry room? So 4 things already on the plate, and the 5th one, just to add to the basket of demands for this room, is that my little daughter, she just turned 2 and she absolutely loves to spend time in here. I mean, she loves seeing all the colorful things that I have and arts and crafts, and she loves to be here. And then, like, I kid you not, literally brings her to tears when we need to leave the room. So I would love, love, love to incorporate some sort of little corner that we can use to craft together. And of course, with that comes a challenge of making sure that scissors, pin needles, and all the other things that kids love to play with but shouldn't are not accessible for her. So there are a lot of moving parts, a lot of things to reconfigure, a lot of things to take in consideration, but I think we're gonna have some fun. I will for sure, and I hope you guys as well. And I do hope that it gives you some ideas on how to reorganize, how to make it more efficient, or just how to make your sewing room a little bit prettier just with what you already have on hand. Because again, you don't have to buy all the latest things and gadgets to make it work. You can make it work with what you already have on hand. And today we are going to start with the YouTube Nook, the YouTube studio that you will see on screen. So yeah, let's go, let's get started. So if you look right over here where the dress form is at, this is where you guys usually would see me stand and talk to you in the YouTube videos. But I'm thinking about moving my YouTube space right over here, and that bookcase was not there. I did clear out majority of the shelves over there, so I just need to continue clearing those out. So basically right now I'm literally just cleaning it all up, putting it all in a big bin, so that way I just have blank canvas left over for me to work with, so nothing is in the way of me focusing on what is the design aesthetic that I want to go for. And you know what, I've been thinking about the design of the room or design of the space, and I think it's much like with clothes. It has to convey a message, or it has to convey that feeling. Because when you are dressed in something that you really love and you feel very confident, you feel like you can do anything. And I want this YouTube Nook and this whole studio to represent that, you know, that you can do anything that comes to mind. But I also want, you know, I want it to represent me as well. And I've been thinking about it, and this past year I've been really, really homesick. And some of you might know United States is home for me now. My husband is from here, my daughter was born here, we live here, but originally I'm from Northern Europe. And when I was thinking about what I want to enter and look at every single day when I sew, I was thinking, well, you know, the streets of Riga, which is the city where I was born and raised, feel so magical to me, and they're so inspiring, and they're so cozy, and they just feel like like something that you want to return time and time again. And then when I think about sewing in these grand ateliers and couture houses, I think of Paris. So I thought, well, what if I take this Northern European / Nordic coziness, yet absence of anything extra, and then merge it with this Parisian chic and make it into my sewing yoke. So that's kind of the inspiration that I came up with, and let me show you a few pictures so that way you have a little bit of visual, and the final result is probably not going to look like anything like those inspiration pictures, but that's the reason they're inspiration pictures, to give you some inspiration and to guide your thought process to the final destination. So let me grab a laptop and we'll take a look at it. So I need to tell you that the inspiration for me for anything that I do comes from most unexpected places. So I have this picture over here that has this fabric displayed on the wall, and I don't have this much wall space to do that with my fabric, neither do I want to, but I do have an idea how to include fabric in a set of my YouTube studio, which would kind of give that idea of, okay, this is a sewing space. This is where I create something with fabric. When it comes to like colors, I want to go with like a dark green, dark blue. Those are the colors that I really love to wear. Those are the colors that I really gravitate to. But I also want to include like coral and maybe a little bit deeper coral, like maybe peach and a little bit deeper coral. And then I am also thinking about, you know, how do I organize my stuff? You know, where do I organize it? And I saw these buttons that placed on the wall in different ways, and you can put stuff on them, but at the same time, if you actually really put stuff on them, it's gonna look really messy. So, you know, all of these pictures do kind of give me a thought or an idea where I want to go. I just need to figure out how do I get there and what is going to be the final result. Oh, hello. And how is it going to look like? Okay, so I think I'm pretty much done with this part. I know it looks really shady and questionable right now, but bear with me. I think it's gonna look really, really cool. So once I've cleared out everything from those shelves, it's time to refill them again in the more aesthetically pleasing combinations with the stuff that I already have. And here you just really have to do what works for you. So I don't like storing my fabric horizontally on the shelves. I've been a fan of storing it on the hangers on my coat rack, and I've been doing it for years now. And I actually do have a separate video about it. I will leave that for you guys in the info box below. So fabric is really not an issue in this case, and all of my books actually did fit in the bookcase. So here I'm just going to be using stuff that I already have to create aesthetically pleasing combination of things in the colors that I have chosen for this YouTube corner. So we'll see how it goes. I've read a lot of articles about design, watched some videos. I will leave some of those videos for you guys in the info box as well. So if you're interested, you can go and take a peek. So I have to tell you that I have a love-hate relationship with interior design. From one hand, it looks very pretty, and I look at all of the beautiful inspiration pictures and I'm like, oh my God, this is picture perfect. From the other hand, I'm a very practical person. So when I look at these Pinterest pictures or inspiration pictures, I'm like, well, this is not useful, this is not useful, this is not practical, this is just all staged, right? So when it comes to design of a YouTube studio, it has to be pleasing to the eye, but at the same time, I don't have the luxury of, you know, bringing on all these things just to make it pretty. I have to make it work with what I have, and it has to be functional because I don't have unlimited space where to store all my books, patterns, and whatever else that I'll be removing or repositioning throughout this space. So that's another challenge, I guess. So ta-da! I think I'm finally happy with the way the shelf looks, and I changed the height of the shelves like 5 times. I moved the core around maybe like 25 times. So I think I'm finally happy with the way it looks. And then the fabric hanging situation right over here, I'm actually very excited about it. And the last thing that I have to do with this is just to press the fabric so that way it looks really nice and crisp for the final look. And there's just one thing that doesn't really concern me, but it becomes very apparent. there's a lot more pink than I thought there would be in the whole decor, but you know what? I'm working with what I have, and who knows, maybe it will look really, really nice at the end and very cohesive. And to give this space a little bit more of an artistic vibe, I gathered all the papers that I actually use in my day-to-day sewing and I put them in a corner over here. Nothing bad is gonna happen, it's just paper, but it does give it a little bit more of a atelier slash kind of like artist studio vibe. And then I took this canvas that I already had, I just haven't had a chance to paint it yet, and I turned it the other way around so that there's a little bit more beige in the whole design. It kind of warms it up a little bit. And then this mirror, I actually had it already as well. It was left over from the previous owners of the house, and it was actually really, really dark brown. So all I did, I just took some white acrylic paint that I already had on hand, and I just painted it white. And when you layer them together, I think it looks really fun, nice. Again, it gives that workshop feel. My little helper is back. She was begging me to let her back into the room. So you're probably going to say that I'm really, really frugal, which is not far from the truth. I try to utilize what I have. Do you know what those tubes are? The ones that I just used to make that hanger on the wall? Yep. You know how I use wrapping paper in my sewing and drafting tutorials? That's exactly where I got those tubes, and I just had a spark, an idea in my mind when I saw those inspiration pictures that I collected for this room, and I was like, oh my God, let's make it work. And you know, some of the solutions that I'm using here might seem a little bit unconventional for you, but at the same time, you have to do what works for you. So for your sewing space, you do what works for you. I will do what works for me. And if it doesn't work for me in the long run, I will definitely problem solve and reconfigure. But at the end of the day, I think that all ideas in the box and outside of the box are worth exploring. And why not have fun and step outside of the coloring lines of the traditional sewing room setup and just have fun with it, and just at the end of the day, you can make out of it whatever you want as long as it's convenient and efficient for you. So I started reorganizing and rearranging things on the pegboard and just really making it work. And then, of course, it always has to happen, I took a step back to the other side of the room and I realized that this pegboard has a lot of these yellowing spots all over it, and I need to paint it because you probably can't see them on camera and you probably won't be able to see them once all the stuff is on the pegboard, but I can see them. So the question is, should I paint it white or should I paint it some other color? Well, dear sewing friends, that's it for today. In the next episode, I'll be tackling the pegboard, and who knows, maybe it's not going to be the white, the color that I'm going to be painting it in. So the possibilities are endless, and we have some paint in the garage left over from painting the house. So the wheels are turning, and then there might be some wallpaper involved in the next episode of remaking the sewing room. So definitely stay tuned. Until next time, have fun, be creative, sew up a storm, use what you have, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!